My name is Miranda. I was 22 years old when my story began. I lived with my grandmother in a small village. My parents had died in an accident when I was only 10 years old. My grandmother was all I had left. She raised me with love and care. She made sure I never felt hungry or alone. She was strict sometimes, but I always knew she wanted the best for me. I was young and full of dreams. I liked to laugh and go out with my friends. Sometimes we stayed out late at parties. I did not always listen to my grandmother. She was too serious for me then, always talking about safety and good manners. Still, deep inside, I respected her. I knew she was the reason I had a home, food, and a future. My grandmother often spoke about my future husband. She said she wanted a man who would take care of me the same way she did. One afternoon, she told me she had chosen someone for me. His name was Simon. He was a carpenter in our village. Everyone said he was kind and honest. I did not know him very well, but I trusted my grandmother's choice. Soon, Simon and I got married. Our wedding was small but warm. My grandmother looked happy that day. She told me quietly that I was safe now, that Simon would protect me. After the wedding, I moved into Simon's small house. Life was peaceful. Simon worked hard every day making furniture, and I stayed home to cook and clean. At first, I did not know if I loved him, but as days passed, I began to feel something special. Simon was gentle and patient. He listened to me carefully when I spoke, and he never raised his voice. He made me feel like I mattered. Slowly, love grew between us. We lived happily together for 2 years. We did not have much money, but we had peace and respect. Then one morning, Simon came home excited. He said he had found a new job in the city. The money was good and it could change our lives. I was nervous at first. The city sounded big and strange, but Simon smiled and said everything would be fine. So we packed our bags and left the village. When we arrived in New York, everything felt new. The streets were loud, the lights were bright, and people moved fast. Simon rented a small apartment. It was not large, but it was clean and warm. We built our new life there. Simon went to work early every morning and came home late. I stayed home, cooked dinner, and waited for him. In the evenings, we ate together and watched television. It was quiet, but it felt safe. After some months, I started to meet new people. They were different from anyone I had known before. They wore expensive clothes and talked about parties, cars, and money. They invited me to go out with them. At first, I said no, but soon I became curious. One evening, I joined them. The music was loud, the lights were colorful, and everyone looked happy. I had never seen anything like it. That night changed me. I began to enjoy the city life. I wanted to be part of that world. I wanted to look beautiful and modern like those women. I looked at my simple dresses and felt embarrassed. The next day, I asked Simon if I could buy a new dress. He smiled and said yes. But when I showed him the dress I wanted, his face went pale. It cost $1,800. That was a lot of money for us. I told him I needed it to fit in with my new friends. Simon did not say much. He went quiet for a while. Then he said he had been saving money to open a small shop one day, but he would use that money for my dress. I felt guilty, but also happy. When the dress arrived, it was beautiful. It made me feel like a queen. I thanked Simon. He smiled, but I saw sadness in his eyes. That dress became the start of my greed. Soon, one dress was not enough. I wanted more clothes, more jewelry, and more attention. Simon worked longer hours to please me. He took double shifts, but the city was expensive. I began to feel distant from him. I was always out with my new friends, dancing and laughing. When Simon needed me, I was not there. He never complained, but I could see the pain in his eyes. One evening at a club, I met a man named Pete. He was tall, confident, and dressed in an expensive suit. He had a shining car and spoke softly but with power. When he smiled at me, I felt something warm and exciting. He asked me to dance, and I said yes. After that, I met Pete again and again. He took me to expensive restaurants and gave me gifts. He made me feel important. I stopped thinking about Simon and my old life. I told myself that I deserved more. One day, I made a choice that changed everything. I packed my clothes, wrote a letter, and left Simon forever. I told him I was sorry, but I could not live a simple life. Then I walked out and never looked back. When my grandmother heard about it, she called me. Her voice was full of pain. She warned me that I had given up true love. I ignored her. Life with Pete felt like a dream. For almost a year, I forgot my past completely. Then one day, I felt pain in my chest. Slowly, it became worse. One morning, I could not move. I was taken to the hospital. The doctor told me I had cancer and it had already spread. I stayed in the hospital for many days. Pete visited at first, but slowly he stopped coming. One day, I received a letter from him. He wrote that my illness was too much for him. He left some money and disappeared from my life. I finally understood the pain I had caused Simon. I called my grandmother. She told me not to give up. The next day, she came to the hospital with Simon. He held my hand and told me he still loved me. From that day, everything changed. Simon stayed beside me every night. My condition slowly improved. The doctor said it was a miracle. After many months, I left the hospital. We moved to a small, simple house. Life was quiet again. Love returned. Later, I found out I was pregnant. We cried with happiness. I gave birth to a baby boy. Our home filled with laughter again. We returned to the village and lived peacefully. Now I understand what true love is. It is not money or beauty. It is staying beside someone when life becomes hard. I once chose the wrong path, but I was given another chance, and this time I chose love.